I'm sure many of you guys know about this Twitch streamer. This guy is massive on Twitch, and we've talked about him a lot in our videos over the last few months. Now, Destiny recently actually made some comments about the riots going on in America right now, okay? Now, there were some people that thought that these comments from Destiny were over the top and that he was going too far with what he was saying here, but Destiny actually ended up getting his entire partnership revoked on his Twitch channel because of these comments he said on his Twitch stream. Now, I'm sure many of you guys know who Leafy is. I mean, he hasn't been banned for that long, but he was permanently banned on YouTube only a few weeks ago, okay? In our last video, we talked about how he's permanently banned. He can no longer make a YouTube channel ever again, and it turns out that Leafy got banned off of Twitch just last night. And Twitch says here that the safety of our community is our top priority, and we reserve the right to suspend any account for conduct that violates our rules. They went through his channel and manually approved that it was within the guidelines, and they rewarded him with monetization. So what changed in 1 week? Leafy tweeted this out about his ban. Just when I started to have fun at Twitch, is there any way of appealing this? It was my first offense. And he shows here that he was banned because he was engaging in hateful conduct and threats of violence against a person or a group of people. Actually, the YouTuber Boogie2988 tweet out here saying, I do not like the kind of content Leafy makes, but the decision by both YouTube and Twitch to deplatform him is worrisome and should be condemned. Let sarcastic, edgy content exist. Meanwhile, they do nothing about the real manipulators and exploiters on their platform.
And because of all of this, Destiny has decided not to interact with any liberals or socialists for a while. And he's mostly going to be talking to alt-right or conservative people.
With conservatives and alt-righters. Because the thing is that like I don't think I can get canceled or hurt by conservatives.
It is not possible for the right wing to be wrong about everything. It is not possible for conservatives to be wrong about everything. Even if you are left-wing yourself or moderately left of center yourself, you have to admit that left-wing people can't pay attention to everything. They can't investigate, research, or analyze everything. At least once in a while, there will be important voices of dissent. There will be important information presented by the right wing. I'm Jewish. I have Jewish ancestry. I have relatives who died in the Holocaust. I knew one Holocaust survivor growing up. Guess what? Adolf Hitler was morally opposed to cigarette smoking. He was especially strident in trying to discourage pregnant mothers from smoking cigarettes. He also drank water and breathed air. It's not possible for the right wing to be wrong about everything. This is Breonna Taylor. You've probably heard a whole lot about Breonna Taylor. You've probably heard a lot of news reports saying again and again that she had no criminal record. There was just no reason for the police to be investigating her because she had no history of being a drug dealer. She had no criminal record. There was a murder investigation because a dead body was found in her car. And this was not a car that she owned but like hadn't used for many years. That happens sometimes. You might have bought a car 10, 20 years ago, still in your name. No, it was a rental car. Now, I do not think Breonna plotted this murder. I do not think she had foreknowledge of this murder. But the murder establishes the connections between her and this drug-dealing gang back in 2016. There were recorded conversations by phone iterating that she was holding thousands of dollars for multiple drug dealers. There's substantive evidence, including the tracking of what cars went where, photographs. There is a body of evidence that there was an ongoing police investigation that very much placed Breonna Taylor at the middle of big money drug dealing. And if you think there's something unreasonable about the police investigating Breonna Taylor, ask how you'd feel if you were a blood relative of the man who died in her car. This woman rented a car and it was your cousin, your brother, your best friend from high school who turned up dead in her car. Wouldn't you want, wait a minute, how were these other people involved? What was going on? Why was this man slayed in the car? Why did she rent the car and give it to another man who gave it to another man? And who was the guy who shot him? And what was the motivation? And there are some questions to be asked here. And only the right wing has been asking them. Search YouTube itself to try to find this information. Searching within YouTube, you search for Breonna Taylor, drug dealer, search for any combination of search terms, trying to find a video discussing the facts I've just set out for you now, which, by the way, you can quote 100% from police documents. There's not a lot of investigative journalism needed. You can just directly quote the police report. And you know what? You're going to find nothing. You're going to come into a very strange brick wall of censorship that exists within YouTube that prevents you from finding right-wing and conservative sources. And again, I'm not conservative myself. I'm not right-wing myself. I'm just willing to admit they're a source of dissent. They're a source of social commentary that sometimes really matters. They can't be wrong about everything. I mean, they're wrong about global warming. They're wrong about providing health care to the poor. There are all kinds of issues they're wrong about. I mean, they've mostly been wrong about gay rights for the last 50 years. Now some right-wingers are switching on the gay rights issue. Sure, I can list all kinds of things conservatives and right-wing people are wrong about. They can't be wrong about everything. Once in a while, it must matter. It must really matter that you're able to access and hear that conservative or right-wing perspective. So in case you are uncomfortable with hearing my voice as a Jewish man, publicly perceived as white, recounting these very basic facts about Breonna Taylor, here is an African-American man. You can tell by the hat he's wearing that he's somewhere on the spectrum from conservative to far right-wing. Here's an African-American man who has a YouTube video recounting the same facts. So now that you know the title of that video, you could search YouTube to find that video, right? Oh, isn't that interesting? It's not the first result. It is, in fact, the fourth result, even when you are searching for precisely that title. But those other videos that are above it in the search results, they must have much greater numbers of viewers. No, they don't. Look at the numbers. It's embarrassing. Even when you're searching for that precise title, what do you get? I've been doing this experiment for many years, and the results have gotten worse and worse. They've gotten scarier and scarier. Search for excuses for Stalin with whatever combination of terms. Was Stalin really that bad? The video here on the left of these three I actually find much more disturbing than the one on the right, but these are videos openly pro-mass murder, making excuses for and trivializing mass starvation. These are pro-communist dictatorship videos. And then compare the search results you get when you change Stalin to Hitler, when you look for the equivalent on the right. There's a very strange asymmetry in how censorship works. Once in a while, this must really matter, right? We must have to value dissent on some issues sometimes. Oh, here are the search results for EU immigration politics. You'd think this wasn't controversial at all. You'd think there wasn't like a mass movement in every country in Europe, not always right-wing, not always conservative, by the way, who are rejecting the mass immigration model of society. For some reason, YouTube turns up 100% pro-mass immigration videos. When I search this, here's Canada immigration politics. This was a huge issue just in the last federal elections we have here. There was a new political party formed on precisely this issue to challenge the Conservative Party because the Conservative Party itself wasn't against mass immigration enough. So there's been a huge issue. You wouldn't know that from these search results. You wouldn't know this is a contentious, you wouldn't know there was more than one perspective. You wouldn't know that there's dissent. At the risk of repeating myself, I have to say an example that sticks out in my mind is that 3 years ago, I can remember searching for evidence on the assassination of RFK. That's the brother of JFK, two very different assassinations. And I can remember the really high-quality, in-depth discussions you'd get searching for that. And here are the search results today. Here's what you see on YouTube today, looking up the assassination of RFK. This is 100% pro-government propaganda. And if you guys haven't read about the details of that case, there is very palpable evidence that the government version of events is bullshit. It's not a crazy conspiracy theory. On the contrary, you'd have to be crazy to believe the government's version of events. This type of censorship touches my own life in ways, trivial and profound. I had a hit video on my channel called Final Cut Bro. I didn't even know it was a hit. Like, I uploaded it, and within the first week of it being online, it only had maybe 2,000 views. And I stopped paying attention. I don't keep watching my own videos after maybe the first 2 or 3 days they're up. But it went on to have really a large number of viewers, 13,000, 14,000 viewers. So I decided to search for my own video by title. Yeah, it's on a controversial issue, not as controversial as Joseph Stalin or Adolf Hitler, but isn't that remarkable? Final Cut Bro, and I'm nowhere in the search results. And then if I even specify, no, I didn't mean Final Cut Pro, I click on the search instead for Final Cut Bro, I'm still not in the search results. Oh, and if you think this other guy, if you think this YouTube channel gets tens of thousands of views that's coming up in the results, no, it doesn't. Look at the numbers. He's a brand new channel. Nobody knows him. In fact, he probably ripped off the name of his channel from me, because if you look at the dates for when his channel was created and when I put that video up, I had that play on words first. I made that joke first, however you want to say it. So it's a joke anyone can come up with. But no, I am mysteriously banned from the search results for the unique phrase, Final Cut Bro, when what I'm saying is not nearly as challenging to the status quo as questioning, shall we say, the ethics of Breonna Taylor. It's easy to say you value freedom of speech. It's easy to say that you value dissent and diversity of opinion, and it's hard to practice. Nobody saw this coming except the far right wing. I don't remember anyone else 5 years ago really saying, if you let YouTube censor this, they're going to censor everything. And those guys, those crazy right-wing guys, they were correct. They foretold the future accurately, and I didn't. Because from my moderate, pragmatic, left-of-center perspective, YouTube would have to be insane to do exactly what they did. And you want to know why conservatives and right-wingers saw this coming? You want to know why they were right and I was wrong 5 years ago? Because those guys have way more experience with corporate America than I do. I've never worked inside corporate America. I don't understand the mentality, the managerial mentality of the people who are in charge of YouTube. And a whole lot of conservative and right-wing people, they really do understand it, because that's their world, that's their career path, that's who those guys are. They work inside of banking and finance and corporate governance and all this stuff. All this stuff that to me ultimately is much more distant, exotic, and incomprehensible than the politics of Cambodia and the politics of Mongolia and what went wrong with Mao Zedong. All kinds of stuff I've devoted my time to studying. And I never really devoted my time to studying what goes wrong when you take just one half step away from First Amendment principles, from constitutional principles governing what people can and can't say.
The thing is that I don't think I can get canceled or hurt by conservatives.
Even if on no other issue, on this issue, the right wing was right. Dun, 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 dun.